Hi, everybody. Welcome to the February meeting for the Bike Walk Commission. I'm the chair, Tanner Thompson. We also have two other commissioners tonight in attendance, Emily and Christine. And we have lots of members of the public. I'm always thrilled to see members of the public. The first thing on the agenda is public comment. So I like to give the first priority to people who have not ever been here before. So if you have never attended one of our meetings and you want to join in, although I think I recognize all the names on the list. So I'll open it up to any member of the public who would like to provide comment.
Sorry, Tanner, I trying to find where to raise my hand. Oh, it's behind my camera.
Go ahead, Phil.
I do want to mention the bicycle co-op pop up there first for 2023.
Yes,
March
absolutely.
18th.
Please do.
I know the location is kind of to be determined, but I know we're thinking of Ryan Park. But yeah, I just want to throw that date out there. I'm not sure if that's something the commission wants to broadcast. I'm sure it is.
What
in
was
the
the
coming
date again, Phil?
March 18th.
Okay.
And
just for the record, for the public record, this is an event where people are going to be able to bring their bikes and get some free help getting them fixed up, right?
correct.
Awesome.
So we
We'd
have
love to see it.
a viewpoint checklist and that sort of thing. We're working with you guys to come up with some kind of like public survey from when people, individuals or even youth show up to have their bikes repaired or serviced or what have you, and kind of go from there.
Awesome. Thanks again for spearheading that, Phil. I guess it's very related to point out that one of the reasons that Phil's stepping up into this role in the bike co-op is because Sam, who's not able to be here tonight, I don't remember if you mentioned it. He's mentioned it to a lot of people already in person, but he asked me to let everybody know that he's going to be, pending visa issues, he's going to be relocating to Germany to take on a very cool new role. As most of you know, he works at Cannondale, the bike flip company, as a product manager, and he'll be transitioning over to their mobility division. So he's going to be working on bikes that are chiefly intended for people to get around town, which we love to see. And he's very excited to work on that as well. But it does mean that we're going to have to lose him from Norwalk, which is a bummer. So he is going to send me his formal resignation soon, because once he's in Germany, he won't be able to be a commissioner. If he had been here tonight, I would have let him give that update. But since he's not here, I figured you all should know. So with Sam leaving, not only is he going to be leaving commission, but he also won't be able to drive the bike co-op's activity. So Phil's stepping up there, and I really appreciate that, Phil. So any other public comment? All right, well, we have a packed agenda, so I think that I will take a few minutes back. If we have more members of the public that join and we have time at the end, perhaps we can make room for them then. But for now, let's move on to our first agenda item, which is the presentation of the draft strategic plan. So a little bit of background here. Under Nancy, who was the last chair, Nancy did a great job of putting together, with the help of some other commissioners, a strategic plan every year. That's something that I haven't done as good of a job on, but I have attempted with help from some commissioners, especially Emily, and some non-commissioners, especially Ben and Phil, to put together a draft of this. And I would love feedback from the two commissioners that we have here. And if just in order to keep the meeting from going too long, last month we did go pretty long, and that was in part because I was very liberal with letting people speak. I do love to let people speak, and I think everybody knows that, but because we have a packed agenda and I don't want it to run over, I'm going to limit the discussion to just commissioners. Feel free, if you aren't a commissioner and you have thoughts, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll read them, or to just email me. But as far as live discussion, we're going to keep that to, I guess we don't have chat, we have Q&A. So feel free to send feedback to me, or you can put it in Q&A if you want. That's not really designed for that purpose exactly, but I would love to hear what people think. But in order to keep the meeting moving along, I'm going to try and limit discussion just to commissioners. So let me share my screen because I have the draft strategic plan right here. Okay, can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thanks, Emily.
Could you zoom in a little?
Absolutely,
Thank you.
I would love to. Okay, so at a high level, the strategic plan, as I have conceived it, consists of 3 categories: a vision statement, a mission statement, and a set of goals. The vision statement talks about what we want to see in Norwalk. It's aspirational. It's not a description of what Norwalk is today or even what we are doing today, but what we want the future to look like. The mission statement is a statement of how we fit into that vision, and how, like at a high level, what the way that we work toward that vision. And then the goals are concrete, specific milestones that we want to hit this year. So we brainstormed a bunch of different vision statements. A lot of them are kind of similar. We did a fair amount of wordsmithing, so I would love to choose from one of these or to develop a new one and adopt it tonight. The mission statement, number 1 here is the existing statement of purpose from the website. Number 2 is an idea that we brainstormed a while ago, and then I tried to put a little bit more detail to that, and I drafted number 3. And then we have a bunch of goals, and goals are obviously the most detailed of the 3 categories. But that's what I am hoping to get done today, is to nail down vision statement, mission statement, and goals for 2023. So let's start with the vision statement. I'll just read all 7 of them just to see what they sound like. They're not very long. Number 1, all residents of Norwalk can conduct their daily lives via walking or by walking and biking. Number 2, all residents of Norwalk can safely and conveniently live their lives without a car. Number 3, Norwalk residents can safely access all daily needs via walking and biking. Number 4, Norwalk residents routinely choose to walk or bike. Number 5, all Norwalk residents can safely and conveniently walk or bike. I might change that to walk and bike. Number 6, walking and biking are a daily part of all Norwalk residents' lives. Number 7, Norwalk is safely accessible entirely via or by biking, walking, and public transit. So again, I want to remind everybody that this is meant to be aspirational. This is meant to be a vision of the future that we want to work toward. This may not be a vision that we think is realistic in the year 2023. We may not even think that it's realistic in a 5 or 10 year time span, but it's the vision that we are working toward. It's what keeps us motivated, essentially. With that said, what do you think?
I really like the last one, number 7. I feel like that's a very good vision. I can, that kind of accommodates walking, biking, and public transit. Also, I thought immediately when you were saying, these are the future, I think, what if Norwalk is safely accessible entirely by biking, walking, and public transit?
Yeah.
It could be this year. Yeah. But I thought of that book that Audrey recommended.
Yeah, kudos to Audrey for reminding us to ask what if. Christine, what are your thoughts?
So I actually voted, I vote for the same one as Emily, 7. So that makes it a little easy, but that's the only sentence that doesn't have the word resident in it either. I agree with what Emily said. That's why I'm voting, but also resident can be, it's not really defined. It can marginalize. So, but I'm really voting for 7 just because more so.
You're saying you want to be inclusive of people who don't necessarily live in Norwalk.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
These are a big part of our, what bringing people to Norwalk is about too. So we want to, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. I don't think we need to limit it to just people who live in Norwalk. For number 7, the biggest thing that I feel like is missing is that it's important to me that our vision includes walking, biking, public transit that's not only safe, but that's convenient, right? Because there exists a world in which people are able to walk and bike and take public transit safely, but that it takes a long time, that it's indirect, that it's not near as convenient or time efficient as driving. And so people typically choose to drive anyway. And the vision that I have of the future is that people do choose to walk and bike in large part because it is a great way to get somewhere. So I don't know exactly how to factor that in here, but I think that's part of what I hope is our shared vision. Thoughts?
I think accessible, it could be under the umbrella of accessible entirely, right?
What about
Safe.
safely and conveniently?
Eh,
Convenient.
I think
I mean,
safely.
I agree. I mean, I thought convenient is also under accessible, that defines it. No, but you're talking about, I know what you mean. Yeah, just because you could get the bus right out your door doesn't mean you're gonna get to your destination and efficiently. I got you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think by adding those 2 words, I think we cover it, and it's not too long. It's a little
Yeah.
bit longer. It's the only one that's 2 lines, but it's still pretty short.
Okay. I'm good with
Cool.
it.
Then we shall adopt it. We can't vote on it until we have a quorum, so we'll come back once Colin's able to join. But we'll move on to mission statement. So the existing mission statement says the mission of the purpose of the Bike Walk Commission is to support bicycling and walking as safe, accessible, and sustainable forms of transportation and recreation that increase the city of Norwalk's livability and economic vitality and improve public and environmental health. So I think there's a lot of good stuff here, but it doesn't really work as much as a mission statement. Like I said at the beginning, what I want the mission statement to do is to kind of at a high level define what we do. This talks more about why we do it. This is a little bit more of the vision. And so that's why I've drafted this. This mission statement that we came up with earlier is more of a mission statement, but it's a little more vague. It doesn't talk much about what we do. I guess this talks about like what the city of Norwalk does and what we would like to see the city of Norwalk do, right? Create roads, sidewalks, and trails. But strictly speaking, our job is not to create the trails or the sidewalks or the roads. That's the job of the city. And our job is certainly to hold them to that and to encourage them to do it. But one of the things that's most important to me about the strategic plan is that it does define what it is we do, as opposed to a city employee, as opposed to an elected official. And so that's what I've tried to outline here with A through E. So I'm going to read those. A, providing advice to city agencies and officials on projects, policies, and other matters relating to biking and walking. Actually, before I get through these, I do want to point out that there's a similar list in the ordinance that established our commission. And that's right here. I'll just bring it up. And I looked at this while making this list. I won't read through all of these, but I will, you know what I'll do? I will put, this is the best I can do for the panelists. For people who aren't panelists, I'm not sure if you'll be able to, I can't post a question at all. Yeah, I wish there was a chat because I could post this link in the chat and then people could follow along. But I'll just let you read it, I guess, off of my shared screen. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it. But we have the purpose of the commission shall be to promote complete streets programs, review, promote, and update the bicycle plan and the pedestrian plan, review and provide advice in the implementation of the plan of conservation development, and then review projects that relating to walking and biking. So I tried to include those, but some of them I do want to discuss a little bit. And then there's 2 more down here, public awareness campaigns and then research and grants. So you'll see that I incorporated some of these, but not all of them are exactly incorporated. I don't want to talk about that. But without further ado, here is what I came up with. I read the first one, this providing advice to the city. The second one is increasing awareness of walking and biking infrastructure, activities, and issues through events, digital media, and other channels. This is essentially the public facing part of our mission. Although C is also public facing, providing resources to Norwalk residents that enable and encourage them to walk and bike. So as specific examples here, I think about the bike rack map that we maintain, the map of bike routes that we in the past have helped build. And then also things like safety resources. In the past at our events, we've handed out flyers about walking and biking safety, and that would fall under this, the resources. D would be fielding Norwalk residents' concerns about existing walking and biking infrastructure and forwarding issues to the appropriate city agency. So this is something that we mostly do through our meetings. We pretty regularly, maybe not every meeting, but regularly we have members of the public come to our meetings with a specific grievance saying like, this needs to be addressed. And I think one of our jobs is to take that and translate that into something actionable that the city can do. Because I feel like often there's a disconnect between something that a resident or somebody, maybe a non-resident, is concerned about, that they maybe are aggravated about, and actually getting that to lead to some sort of action or change. And that's something that, because of the context that we have, the background that we understand, we kind of understand how everything is working in the city, that we can help translate between those two. So that's what D was about. And then E, this is something we never really put in writing, but I think that it's something that we are already doing and that we should formalize, and that is to bring together existing community organizations and foster collaboration between them. An excellent example of this is the bike co-op that Phil was just talking about. Another one, for example, is all the work that Audrey has done with events like Gratitude on the Green and Earth Day. That's kind of a loose community organization right there, the group of people that have put on those events. Also, this is not limited to nonprofits. This could also include bike shops and other companies like Cannondale, like businesses in the area that want to get involved, or potentially, like theoretically, if there was a company that wanted to do a better job of allowing their employees to bike to work. I'm thinking especially like a larger employer on Connecticut Ave or up at Merritt 7, that we could be a resource for them in helping them to help their employees get to work on a bike, by walking, etc. So that's the kind of community organizations in a very broad sense. So I think that most everything that we either do or have talked about doing is in here, but not all of it, and I'm sure I missed something. So I would love to hear your thoughts. Christine, we'll start with you. What thoughts do you have?
A couple things. So one, I don't know if we need to vote on this tonight. I don't know if there's urgency or we wait for more commissioners because it's pretty important. That's one
Mhm.
thought. Two, I actually like the mission statement we have. I
Okay.
think the word that's missing that summarizes number 3 is advocacy, and that could maybe go in number 1. Because we're an advocate. When you talk about fielding residents' concerns, we're advocating for the residents, right? By kind of pointing them in the right direction of support. We're partnering and collaborating with the community agencies. I don't know, that's just my thought, Tanner. We're advocating for the public, really. And collaboration is missing. I would like to see it, and I see what you're getting at.
No, it's right here. It's in E.
Oh, collaborate. Yeah, so like collaborative work or consulting, we also consult, right? Like they consult with us, city agencies. So I just think it could be kind of summarized with number 1. I like number 1 because it is very general and it does cover a lot of things. I don't know if we need to be specific in the mission statement. Like the mission statement has the vision and the purpose, right? But that's just my thinking, all those things.
I agree.
Yeah, so advocating for the public, I think that's a good phrase that we could work in. Like I said earlier, the thing that I feel like is missing in number 1 is that it's it doesn't talk much about what we do. It talks about why we do it, like what the benefits are, right? It talks about what we, it includes a little bit of the vision, right? Safe, accessible, and sustainable. But it talks very little about like what we actually do,
But-
right?
and I
The
don't-
only verb in here is support.
Right, but I don't know if a mission statement has that. I know it has its purpose, its goal, I guess goals, I guess. You know,
Well, we're
it
getting
has
to the
a
goals.
purpose, goals and vision, but the number one has goals.
Not in really a specific way.
No, it's definitely not specific, but I don't think I think it's better like that, but that's just my
So,
opinion.
but you're talking about like the second half, increase vitality, livability. Is that the goals you're referring to?
Yes,
Gotcha.
and also supporting bike and walking safety, accessible, but I do think this thing with the outside aid, like this, you know, transportation is missing, so I understand where you're coming from and being specific, but I like the sound of the first one, and I'm sure they worked pretty hard on that. I don't know if I was around back then, but mission statements don't come easy. It takes a lot
Mhm.
to, you know, kind of.
Well, to be
work
clear,
through.
this wouldn't necessarily replace what's in the city ordinance. Right, for this to change right here,
Mhm.
that would have to be like voted on by the common council because it's part of the city charter. This is what I have here that I'm proposing. It would be like just for us to use for the year 2023,
Mhm.
right? To guide our work in the year 2023.
So this doesn't go on our webpage?
We might decide to put it on our webpage, sure,
Because
but
is there a mission
it wouldn't
statement on our-
replace what we have in the city charter.
Do we have the mission statement on the webpage?
Emily, that's a question for you.
We're trying to get it on the web page that we have for the city.
Okay, for some reason I thought it was there under our link. It's not.
I think if I remember right, I think this is on the website.
Okay,
Some form of that should be on the website. I don't know if explicitly that specific one is, but yeah. And I think the goal of reviewing these two is that we have been trying to update our page on the website. So we want to integrate these. And just to build off of what Christine was talking about too, I like number one as the mission statement. I feel like number three gets into the specifics that you're talking about, Tanner, and like actions that we're taking. I feel like it's very parallel to our goals, and I see a lot of our goals in there. So I wonder if it makes more sense to have what you've written out here as our goals. But I can see it as a mission too. So I understand your point there. But I'm partial to the first one.
Okay. While Christine was speaking, or when I was responding to Christine, you had something else to say. Was that what you were trying to say?
Yeah, essentially that.
Okay. Like I said, I think that this is a useful statement, but I don't really see it as a mission statement, or at the very least, like I think personally that having some more detail about what we're doing and like what our role is and the kind of work that we do is helpful for me to define like what is the Bike Walk Commission, and that's what this does for me. But perhaps if both of you like this as a mission statement, and actually Christine's point was good, which is that we don't even have half the commissioners here. So maybe if we're going to adopt this formally, then we wait until more people are here.
That's what I was gonna say too, is we can't even vote on this tonight, but this is, yeah, I really like what you've written out in number 3 though. And I would love to have this on the website just because of what you just said. Like, I feel like the public itself doesn't really know what we do. And it would be really nice to have it outlined exactly, you know, what we're working on and our goals and what our mission is for the city of Norwalk.
Gotcha. Well, let's move on to goals then. So these we worked on earlier, and mostly Emily worked on them. And today I put together what I feel like are some more specific actionable goals. But let's start with this, what I called Slate B, because they're more detailed. So promote complete streets, support the city's transportation master plan, support the state transportation plan, promote public awareness campaigns, and appoint new commissioners. So, starting at the top, complete streets. This is one thing that is in the city charter. It's number 1 here. The reason that I didn't incorporate anything having to do with complete streets in here is because as opposed to when this was written, the city atmosphere is much different. And specifically, the difference now is that the TMP has taken the lead when it comes to complete streets. They secured money for a consultant to put together the detailed complete streets design guide. And that will, I think, take the place of a lot of what was intended for us to do, which is to essentially work the existing processes to get individual streets to be made complete one by one, right? To show up to the meetings, to advocate to the responsible city agencies and say, hey, you're repaving the street, you're redoing this street. Can you please make it a complete street? Here's how you might do that. Because there wasn't really another agency, there wasn't another body in the city that was doing that. And so it kind of fell to us. But my point is that now there is another part of the city that's doing it. And that soon, not only will TMP be thinking of this, but it will be law that all parts of the city have to think through this, and they will have detailed resources to do so that are currently in development. So I think that that's less of a responsibility for us now, but let's look at what we've got here for strategies. So work with various external agencies with city public works. Emily, do you want to give me more details to that?
Yeah, so I think this kind of came out of our the T2 Center hosted the pedestrian safety, the CT STEP workshop, and they're looking for more public works collaborators and the street project documentary. So there are a lot of other groups that are looking for connections, especially in the state of Connecticut, just to build up awareness around complete streets. So partnering for events like that or building awareness or engagement, that sort of thing is where we were coming from with this, I think.
Okay, so you're saying to to have commissioners and maybe members of the public engage with existing events, workshops, initiatives, that kind of stuff.
Exactly, yeah, and attend too, because part of our, and this kind of
Yeah,
leads into
yeah, of course.
the application, yeah, just more engagement with the public works.
When you say public works, you're not talking about the Department of Public Works.
No, sorry, not the Department of Public Works, but
You mean like public workshops, public
yeah, exactly.
projects.
I'm sorry, I meant, what is STEP, Emily? STEP?
STEP stands for something. I can't remember off the top of my head. It was
Greg, do you know?
It was a
I bet Greg
pedestrian-
remembers.
Greg?
Off the top of my head, I don't, because I just call it step 2, so, but it's the FHWA standard for safe streets for pedestrians. Which that was the class that we did.
It was back in November, right?
What's that?
It was back in November.
Yes, it was in November, yep.
Yeah, so Christine, the federal, I guess, some state agency got 2 instructors from the Federal Highway Administration to come to Connecticut and teach 2 workshops, and one of them was held in Norwalk, in South Norwalk. And basically everybody in TMP was in attendance. I was able to go. I think Emily emailed it out to everybody, but it was a training seminar for pedestrian safety.
Nice, well, whatever I guess it is, it should be spelled out there, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, that was like a one-off workshop. I don't know that that's going to happen regularly. Greg, do you know?
Not that specific workshop every,
Yeah.
That's not gonna happen consistently. We may do another one that talks about something else, but it's not gonna be a regular.
Okay, and then Tanner, on the second one is TMP, is that monthly meeting like this meeting now or a different meeting?
I think I interpreted that as our regular monthly meeting, Emily.
Yeah, it's to get TMP on these calls.
Yeah,
For more updates.
Oh, okay, so this meeting like happening right now, our monthly meeting,
mhm.
okay.
And then the third thing here is share relevant information, engage with relevant groups on social media. which I completely agree. Like, I agree that we should do all these things. But there's, I guess, one thing that I'm looking for in a goal is that there's like a concrete measurable milestone that we can hit, and we can like measure ourselves to see if we've hit it, right? And I think these are all useful strategies and strategies that we should do, but I don't see a like a milestone that we, like a goal that we can set for ourselves here. Do you see one, Emily?
I'm thinking about that. I mean, I think it rose from engaging with our Norwalk TMP to like more state level stuff. It could be like a number, like attending a certain number of workshops a year, or
Mhm.
supporting workshops. I
Yeah,
might have to
okay.
come back to the number. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have to do a little research.
Gotcha.
this
But it seems like
around-
a core part of what you're looking for here is that that whatever workshops exist, like that stuff like the STEP workshop, that we don't miss it, and that we make sure that there's as much participation as possible.
Right, exactly.
It
And
sounds
with
like that's at the core of what you're looking for.
exactly, yeah.
So,
And to
And
let
then,
them know that we're
go ahead, Greg.
again attending and
no, I was
showing-
saying, so I just, so it's safe transportation for every pedestrian.
That's right.
And it's an FHWA program, not Connecticut based.
Yes, that's right. Thanks, Greg. Okay, I'm checking on the time. We have spent more than what we put on the agenda for the strategic plan. It does sound like we need to circle back. Maybe the small working group for the strategic plan can meet again and clean this up a little bit, and then present it next month, and hopefully we'll have more commissioners here. Is there any part of this that either of you want to dive into before we move on?
No, I think this was it. And just getting this finalized so we can get it updated on the website was the other goal here.
Yeah, I agree. That's I would love to see it on the website, but I think that it's probably worth spending a little more time on it and doing it right, even if it means that the website gets updated a little bit later.
Agreed.
Before we move on, I do want to give a flavor for the kind of goals that I'm looking that I brainstormed. My intention here was to be like very specific and also pretty attainable, and speak exactly to like, this is what we're going to focus on. So complete the bicycle friendly community application. I'm actually going to give an update on that later, but like that is a very concrete, measurable goal. Hold N, we can define the number later. Hold N events that engage the broader community. A lot has been said about doing a bike rodeo, so that could be a goal of ours, or more generally an event targeted at kids' bike safety. Another one is a goal around attendance with the Sustainable Streets Happy Hours, which has kind of been, the commission's been a partner, but not strictly a driver of that. But a goal that I've had for those has been to get one with 100 people to show up. So that could be generalized to just like holding an event where we get 100 people. Another goal that is in line with one of the areas that Emily put here, which is getting new commissioners, is to have N new people attend our meetings. Ultimately, the new commissioners are not up to us; they're up to the mayor. The mayor sends a name to the Common Council, and the Common Council approves them. So we can't pick new commissioners, but we can generate participation, because mostly the mayor does pick commissioners from people who are already participating. And I think that it's very important to the mayor and other leadership in the city that we get better representation of underrepresented groups on the commission. It's pretty obvious that all the commissioners are white, and we all kind of ride bikes or walk places because we choose to, because we're kind of ideologically committed to it, and not because we're in a position where we need to do that because of our income, our economic status. I would like to see more economic diversity on the commission, but it's not up to me, right? The best I can do is to try and attract those people to come to our meetings, participate. So that's what this goal is around, having new people attend our meetings, especially those from underrepresented populations. The next one would be about digital media, this is a goal we've had a few times, and I think it's a great thing to just keep working toward, which is a higher number of followers across all our different digital media channels: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, email. And the last one is about the website, because I know that Emily's working on the website. To actually like release a new version of the website, essentially. So those are like the specific things that I think we could achieve. Obviously, we need to fill in numbers here, but those are all like things that we are already working on that we should keep focusing on, in my opinion. So any thoughts on that before we move on to the next agenda item? Emily says thumbs up. Christine, any thoughts? Thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, so we'll regroup. I'll put together a meeting with I'll send out an email and include everybody, but those who are interested in attending and workshopping this some more are invited to come. So moving on, we've got discussion items that Colin put up on the agenda. Colin hasn't shown up yet, but he is on his way. So I guess we can't really vote to suspend the agenda. Delene, what do I do here if I want to rearrange the agenda, but I don't have enough votes to actually do it? I mean, I think it makes all kinds of sense to wait until Colin's here to discuss his item.
Yeah, I think it's okay.
All right, great. Well, we're coming back to that once Colin's here. Update on bike-friendly community application. I'll give that. So back in September, there was every 6 months, roughly twice a year, there's a deadline for submitting the bike-friendly communities application. Back in September, there was a deadline and we discussed, can we get it in by September? And we decided, no, we're going to take some more time to do it. And we kind of agreed between us and TMP that we would take the lead and fill out the parts of the application that we could, and then we would hand it over to them when we had those parts complete. The next deadline is coming up. It's 9 days from now. And frankly, we haven't done a very good job of getting together and filling that out. We've made some progress, but not enough progress that we can turn it over to TMP in anywhere close to the amount of time that they need to actually fill it out and do their part. In particular, because, and I don't know if Greg's going to announce this or not, but Mike Yosak, who's been with the city for a long time, retired, and so they have even less bandwidth than they have now, or than they had before, and they're working on filling Mike's position. So as a result, we've decided to shoot for the September deadline, but I don't want to make the same mistake that we've made in the past of waiting another 4.5, 5 months to start. So I've been meeting with mostly Emily and Ben, who've been interested in helping with it and filling it out. And I want to kind of do it right. And this is something that Greg has also, and Kyle, who has been involved with this as well, have expressed to me that it's important to them and to TMP that we fill out, that we do a high quality application. And I think that part of that means that we go through, and this is an initiative that I'm kind of leading, is that we go through the application and we look at it not just as a way to get an award, but also as a blueprint for what a very bike-friendly community looks like. So that as we go through, that we evaluate not only what we have, but what we don't have and how we might get that. So I've started a document where that's a little more well organized, so we can keep track of what we have, what we don't have, what's in progress, because we have a lot of things in progress, and I hope to get credit for them in the near future. And then some action items. For example, there's a lot in the first section of the application that's about zoning and land use, because that has a lot of overlap with walking and biking. And we have a zoning rewrite that's in progress right now. And so, if we as a commission can understand better what these things are that we learned about in the application, then we can use that to go to the public input session of the zoning rewrite and say, and make a case for like, here's why these different things ought to be in the zoning code, because it will make us a more walking and biking friendly city. So that's an example of what I'm looking at, like the kind of the higher purpose for going through the application. So I'm going to keep holding meetings where we go through the application with that sort of mindset. And that's my update. Any questions? Christine, I imagine you have questions because this has been important to you for a long time.
Oh, thank you. No, I had edited back in the fall. I did what I could do. I kind of exhausted what I could fill out, but I do remember, I agree with you. Wait, like it's impossible, but I remember at one of the webinars for the participants who are going to apply, the new participants, that they just were saying like, open up the portal, get on the map, so to speak. The league was encouraging people just to kind of get going, open it up because once it's open, then they can support us. So, I think that, but that's done, right? There's an account, so
Yeah,
I'm fine
I
with
create an
waiting.
account, I open the application.
Yeah, so we're good. I think it's exciting. It's something to look forward to.
Great.
And I hope to
Um,
continue to do what I can and, yep, thanks.
Awesome. Okay, next thing on the agenda is upcoming bike events, 2023 discussion. Christine put this on the agenda. There's 2 items, May Bike Month and Open Streets. And actually, I have some updates on those categories, but I'll let you start.
Well, okay, so I just know it's around the corner, and last time we kind of got caught with not too much plan, and I'm happy to help with this, but I certainly can't do Bike Month by myself. And there's like Bike to Work Day, which is I think it's Bike to Work Week, May 15th through May 21st. There's National Ride a Bike Day in May. So I wanted to talk about this and have some sort of plans. And the other thing is I found this calendar at one of the stores. It's called the Town Planner for Norwalk. And in it is the town events. So I guess the Chamber of Commerce puts this out. Quite a few organizations, I think. Is this on the Chamber of Commerce Town Planner? I don't know. It's the city.
But it's a
anyway,
2023 calendar.
yeah, it's norwalkconnecticut.org, townplanner.com. So there's all the monthly events around the city, like about the schools, but anyway, I thought we should keep it in mind for next year to have it on May, like Bike Month, and then have our website here and stuff like that, or our event.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Bike to Work Week should be on this calendar, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're talking specifically about this printed calendar. And that's been printed and it's been sent out, right? But there's a version of this that's digital as well. I'm sure there's an events calendar on the city website, and it's not too late to get on that. So
yeah.
I think that at the very least, your point can be put into action by taking the events that we're going to hold, that I'm going to talk about, and making sure they're on the city event calendar. So that's a good thought.
Okay, yeah, so that was it, really. I just wanted to plan.
Yeah. Well,
So-
let me take you through the events that I have started lining up. There are 2 in particular. One is an event that we've been waiting for a long time, and that is the NRVT grand opening. This was originally supposed to happen October 2021, and there were a lot of delays in the construction of the NRVT missing link, but it has finally been paved as of, I think, a couple months ago. And the boardwalk section, I think, is under construction. Greg, I don't know if you have an update there, but everything I've heard is that it's imminent.
Yeah, I mean, it's still so a lot, obviously since Mike retired, we're, kind of taking over all his stuff. So it should be coming soon. But there's still a lot of some odds and ends that need to be completed. So we'll keep you posted once it is completed, and there'll be a ribbon cutting and all that other good stuff. So it's just at this point, it's just we just need to make sure that it's completed.
Yeah. Is there any risk that it won't be completed in May?
I don't like to, I haven't really been on, on the daily updates on it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't tell you if it may or may not be done by May.
Okay.
Especially since construction right now is kind of limited, even if the, and obviously the weather's been a little on the warmer side, this winter, but they can't do everything. So I would just wait and see, and we'll let you know when construction should be completed.
Okay. Well, the indications that I've gotten through other channels, in particular, I've been working with Nancy Rosette, who's the previous chair of our commission,
Yep.
and on the board of the NRVT. And she and the rest of the board are confident enough that it will be done by May, that
Okay.
we're going ahead with planning the big public event that we're calling the NRVT grand opening.
Okay.
We don't have a date nailed down, but we have narrowed it down to either Saturday, May 6th or Saturday, May 13th. Nancy's thinking was that we would wait just a little bit longer so that we can be as sure as possible that the mayor will be available on that day, because usually it's hard to know his availability this far out. But I just talked to Nancy today, and we're going to nail down a date by the end of this month. And we're going to pick between those two dates, either the 6th or the 13th. And that will be at a high level. That's going to include an opening ceremony at the new trailhead on Riverside Ave. And then we're going to do a big group walk or roll. We'll probably have a group that goes ahead on bikes, and then a group that walks together all the way from there through Union Park, through Matthews Park, through Oyster Shell Park, and then we'll have the party, as it were, the big celebration at the south end of Oyster Shell Park, right by the aquarium, that plaza at the north end of the aquarium. And we're hoping to line up some food trucks and some live music. And we are, Nancy and Emily and I are working on contacting various community organizations who might be interested in putting up tables at the end or along the route. And then the most exciting thing, in my opinion, is that we're going to, part of the vision is to develop like a scavenger hunt, kind of like the one that we did with the bike parking last year that Christine worked on. This one will be more, the concept is a passport, where we have pages in the passport for a bunch of different destinations along the trail, whether that's places like the library, like community establishments or businesses, or, you know, like the aquarium, for example. But the goal here is to get people up and down the trail to connect the trail with the destinations in their minds, and to see the trail as a way to get places, and a backbone that ties Norwalk together. So we're still working on nailing down exactly what places will be involved, and you know, we're hoping that some of the places might be willing to sponsor so that we can offer a prize to people who complete the passport, stuff like that. So that's in the works. That'll be either first or second Saturday in May. The other thing that's in the works, Christine, you were involved a while ago in efforts for the open streets. Do you remember this? And we met with Robert Stowers, the director of Rec and Parks, and we tried to get a follow-up meeting with him, and the meeting got rescheduled 6 different times. And finally, on short notice, I'm pleased to report that it happened this morning. I met with Robert, and we discussed an open street event concept for Calf Pasture Beach Road. The concept at a high level would involve closing one of the sides of Calf Pasture Beach Road. As most of you probably know, it's a 4-lane road with a median for most of the length in the middle. And this would move all the car traffic over to one side, and it'd be 1 lane in each direction, and then have a greenway on the other side. This is still a concept. It hasn't been approved by most, particularly the Traffic Commission, which governs all of the uses of streets. But this is the concept, and Robert is on board, and he's excited about it. So I'm going to be working with Robert, and specifically with Rebecca Kovacs, who's the director of events for parks, or I forget exactly what her title is, but she does events for parks, to basically get that ball rolling, to contact all the relevant people, attend the right meetings. Greg, I would love for TMP to be as involved as you guys are interested in being. If that means that I should talk to Jim or Garrett, I'm happy to do that. But because this has such a tie-in with transportation and mobility, I don't want to leave you guys out of the loop in planning this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I mean, it's gonna, like you said, it's gonna have to go to the traffic authority. So it's gonna have to be sent to Garrett, you know, to be put on the agenda. And it's
does Garrett manage the agenda for that?
Yeah, so since Mike Yosak, now that he retired.
Oh, that's right. Mike used to do it.
Yeah, Mike used to do it.
I
So
forgot
Garrett, Garrett will be the one to send to. So we'll just have, when are you planning this? Do you have a date or month that you were planning?
Yes. So the concept that I discussed with Robert this morning would be that we would do this on whatever Saturday we don't do the NRVT grand opening on. Reason being is because on the 20th of May, there is an existing Parks Department event called Play in the Parks, and they didn't want us to schedule over that. And then the following Saturday is Memorial Day weekend. It's a long weekend, and so that makes it tougher. A lot of people are out of town. So the idea is that we would have these 2 events, one for the NRVT North, as it were, and one for the NRVT South, because as most of you may know, the Calf Pasture Beach Road is part of the signed route of the NRVT. It's currently an on-street route, meaning that there's no dedicated trail. But this would kind of temporarily create a dedicated trail. And so it's essentially two NRVT events back to back. We considered, I talked to both Robert and to Nancy about merging them into one event, and we all thought that that was just a little too much for one day. So we split it into 2 Saturdays. Christine, go ahead.
No, I'm really glad it's going forward, and if I remember correctly, one of us has to attend, somebody has to attend the traffic safety meeting. And so I'm willing to do that. I think it's like 3 o'clock on an afternoon. I can't remember when. It's only
So
once a month.
It's 4 o'clock.
4 o'clock
Monday.
on a Monday? Which
Usually
Monday?
the third Monday of the month, I believe.
Third Monday of the month. So and just going back to Tanner, I'm not questioning you. I'm glad you met finally. I just was hoping, and this will be the beginning, hopefully, of like car-free Sunday model, like car-free Sundays.
Yeah.
you know?
I mean,
Right. Is there
I
a
hope
reason
that this
we're,
kicks off.
yeah, is
a
there a
series.
reason we're doing it as an event and not something that's just, I guess, are we experimenting, see how it goes? Like it's a beta kind of opportunity here? to test
Essentially,
it
yeah,
out?
it's a pilot, because
Mhm.
nobody's ever done something quite like this
Yeah.
before. The closest thing that we've done is like, closing the street for like a foot race, right? Like a 5K or a marathon.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
this isn't really the same. And so,
yeah,
both Robert and I felt like we should do a one-off event first. And by event, this doesn't necessarily include stuff like live music or food trucks or
no, no, no,
any
no,
sort
no,
of
I got
agenda
you,
or
yeah.
programming.
I
It's just
think
like a
it's a good-
scheduled time, right?
Yep,
And
I think
that
it's a
time
good
might
idea.
be like, 8 hours. It might be a long event. We haven't nailed down those particulars.
Well,
but-
I'd like to be included, in the
Yes, I would like to include
particulars.
you.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry that I left you off this invite, but like I said, the scheduling was getting so tough that it ended up happening on
Okay.
short notice.
It's okay. Thank you though. There was something else I was gonna say about that. Oh, did you check the calendar? So there is no foot race going on those 2 days? Like everybody looked at the calendar? Cause there is events that foot race. I forget when that one is.
When we were talking about the NRVT grand opening dates, I'm pretty sure that Nancy checked the calendar. I personally haven't checked the calendar, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that she determined both of those were free. But that's a great point. We should check on that.
Well, that would be
So-
wonderful to do this for Bike Month.
So those are the 2 concrete events for which the ball is rolling. There are other opportunities, like you mentioned, there's a bike to work week. There's I guess there's bike to work week and there's bike to work day and the days in the week. But is there something else that
Well, one thing
You
we
had an idea
did
for?
advertise, I think we were at the meeting last night, right? About the Connecticut, the bike walk, Connecticut Bike Walk is doing a
Yes.
ride, that should be promoted on some level.
Oh, yeah.
And yep. But I think those are if we can get those things done, that would be amazing. That's plenty.
Awesome.
And I
Well,
can talk about it a little bit more next time. I can bring other things in. But I would like somebody to, I mean, I don't know if Emily, I know you're, or anybody from the public here that can help with bike to work week. I don't know if anybody here rides their bike to work. I know Colin does, but I don't know if anyone from the public would be willing to do this, like Jeremy.
Yeah,
or- Yep.
you're talking
I
about
can
helping
certainly
more on the planning side or on the like execution side?
Both. Planning though, really, planning.
Yeah.
You know, I work that
you-
morning, like, I have to be at work at 7 o'clock, so I'm not around at, to show up at 9 o'clock at City Hall with a bunch of people, on their bikes and have coffee, but we should do something like that. That's what they do in Stanford.
Yeah. Go
I'd
ahead.
be happy to help with the planning, if you need me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Does anyone
Christine,
here
do
have
you-
experience with it, with Bike to Work Week? Anybody in the public here?
So you're talking specifically about holding an event like on the morning of one of the days in the week where people who are biking to work like stop by, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I've
It's
seen that
nice,
before. I've
so-
never actually participated in one.
Yeah, I did. And there's like a table set up. I mean, Jerry Silver has some experience in Stanford, but I wrote to Stanford and we all met up and had coffee and it was like 3 hours, in that morning, like 6:30 to 9, you know, kind of a thing.
Mhm. Ben, go ahead.
Something that would be kind of fun is, excuse me, if we could get like some city staff or even the mayor to ride to City Hall just for work. And then we could do a big group, like go to City Hall, like with the mayor. That'd be kind of fun. Boston's mayor, Michelle Wu, I think is her name, has done that a number of times.
Yeah, I love that idea. I am sad to say that City Hall is on one of the least bikeable streets in the city,
That is
Um,
true.
which is a bummer. It's a real bummer. I wish it wasn't, but there might be some iteration of that is possible. I think what we should do, in order to both tap into all the excitement from people who aren't on the commission to help out with this and to respect the time of the meeting tonight, Christine, could you lead a meeting, like a working group, a bike month working group, where like all of our different initiatives get coordinated?
Sure.
That would be awesome. Jeremy, you said you're interested. Ben's interested. Anybody else want to get on the list for that working group? Nick, awesome.
Yeah, that, Emily, are you? I know you're
I'm in,
busy.
but I also really want to quickly mention on Earth Day, I know, and the Norwalk Tree Alliance, it's like right before Bike Month, but they were talking about a ride. Is that on the agenda tonight, Tanner, or no?
There's you're talking about the Earth Day. I'm not sure Earth Day's on the agenda.
But it was more the Norwalk Tree Alliance, Tom Arboron wanted to do a bike ride with Norwalk.
Yeah, well, we have one scheduled for the 11th, and I'm going to get to that. But
Okay.
sorry, the 11th of March.
Different. Okay, I thought it was for Bike Month, but sorry, never mind then.
Okay, let me just get the list of people who've, Phil also volunteered, right? You wanted to be involved, Phil?
I have to be at work. I will ride my bike to work. The tough 15 miles to Ridgefield, all uphill. I don't think I'll be able to have, but what I'm thinking is I could do another co-op pop-up repair like the weekend prior. So if any, you know, as like to remind people, one, to ride their bike to work, of course, and maybe someone who thought about riding their bike to work in the area, you know.
Yeah,
needs to
that's a great
brush
idea.
the dust
Like
off.
the weekend before Bike to Work Week, we have a
Yeah.
co-op pop up and say, it's
Yeah.
Bike Month, get ready for Bike to Work Week, come get your bike fixed. Yeah, that's great.
Exactly. And put it in a nice visible spot for the public to see. And you
Yeah.
know, even if they just pull up with their car and take it off, and you know, at least they get some air in their tires and they're ready to roll.
Yeah. Honestly, my guess is that Bike to Work Week is one of the weeks following one of these Saturday events that we're already planning. So like those two could just be combined. Like you could do the pop-up, for example, at the Open Streets event at the beach. That's super visible.
Yeah, I think that, yeah. And I definitely have one to do in mind for the summertime. You know, a lot of people bring their children's bikes down to the beach and ride around, whether from the area or not. I don't think it really matters. But yeah, I think that weekend prior to Bike to Work Week, we can certainly do a pop-up. And also I'll get through my first one and know what I need to fix, make better, other things like that. So
Definitely. Nick, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I just want to specify, or rather let it be specified, is the working group planning, execution, and participation in this?
To start, it's just planning.
Okay,
Like basically what I'm thinking is that if we wait to continue this conversation until a month from now at the next Bike Walk Commission meeting, it'll probably be too late to get some of these balls rolling. And so people who, the other thing I'm thinking is that I don't have the bandwidth to keep all of these balls rolling and conversations going. And so that's what I'm hoping Christine can do, and that everybody else who joins this working group can help carry out some of the planning work.
Tanner, Jeremy said he would help, right?
Oh, that's
Jeremy?
right. Let me get Jeremy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I can lend a hand. It's no problem.
okay.
Awesome.
All right, I'll email everybody here and try to set something up.
Great. Let's move on to our next agenda item, though. Everybody excited about Bike Month? Any last thoughts?
Great. Colin is joined, by the way.
Colin, excellent. I'm glad you made it. Thank you.
I
Um,
did, Tanner, just
Yeah, hey,
quickly,
Tanner.
Greg, are there like bike routes to school that we can highlight during that month?
Well, there's Highland Ave that was just finished.
Well,
Right.
it hasn't been repaid for biking. It hasn't been
That's
paid
true.
yet.
So
That's coming.
will it be or no?
Yeah, because it's hard because paving usually doesn't begin until April.
I see.
So, it's hard to say that it's gonna be paved and striped and completed by then. I
Right.
would say.
All right, but there's other schools in the city? Sorry, Tanner, I just wanna, Greg knows. Is it Nathan Hale? There's a bike walk route there?
Christine,
Oh,
I want this conversation to happen, but we got a lot of stuff to get to on the agenda. Could you talk to Greg offline about this?
Sure.
Greg, do you mind talking to Christine offline about this?
Absolutely.
And we should
Okay,
have
awesome.
those routes on our website.
We definitely should. Okay, moving on. So Colin, welcome. There's a couple things. We covered the draft strategic plan. But after presenting it, we felt that it's something that all the commissioners should be involved in. So we discussed it a little bit. We didn't have enough people to even vote on it. Now we do, but I think that it would still be valuable to work on it a little more, come back next month when all the commissioners can provide their feedback. So in the interest of
Okay.
time, I'll let you look at that offline.
Okay.
But you do have an agenda item, Washington Street, West Avenue, and Tracy School. Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, give me just a minute to pull up some Google Maps. And
Okay. I've got an announcement section of the agenda that I can do while you get prepared. Do you want to do that? Or are you just about ready?
no, I'm just about ready.
Okay.
I'm like you. I probably use maps almost as much as you do.
That's a tall order.
All right. Let me share my screen. Oh, I can't. You're sharing. So let's see here. This and which one is it going to? That one. So Washington Street, right? Everybody see?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Okay. So the biggest thing is, I mean, I've been through this intersection forever, on bike, on foot, in a vehicle, for years now, and it is excessively wide in a lot of places. And I just feel like, as we're progressing and things are improving, I'd like us to have a discussion and try and push TMP to make this a little bit more sane. The biggest spots I'd say are, in particular underneath the bridge on this side. So this is a very narrow sidewalk, and I think extending the curb with paint temporarily, or trying to get them to at least put an edge line on there that wraps around and has some hatch striping or something to indicate that that's should be a wider turn motion. And I think also underneath the Sono sign here, this is also another area where, if they could do some edge line striping to really indicate that this is like the traffic should be circulating out a little bit further and around that corner. I think, just having them take a look at what can be done in the short term to really improve this asphalt. I know that on this side, closest to the park, this is cut particularly wide to accommodate large overheight trucks that can give them an escape route. But I think that's something that should be looked at in the future to see what they can do. This is a really, broad turn. I know we need some sort of margin of safety here, but there's got to be something that can be done to humanize this a bit more, because the crossings, for being so close to the downtown district and all the money that was just put into this public park here, would be really beneficial. I mean, even looking at maybe losing the slip lane, priority lane here, that the left-hand turn lane doesn't stack up particularly heavy. Maybe they could get a few more parallel parking stalls in front of the businesses there that they could use. And I know there's some improvements to Washington Street. So just looking to further that conversation and get that back on our radar is such a key intersection in the city, where most people that visit the area are probably going to pass through there and touch it. So that's the first one. What were the other ones I had on there, Tanner? Tracy School and something else?
Tanner, you're muted.
Sorry, it's West Ave and the Tracy
West
School
Ave.
project. But I want to ask Greg, would you rather, I think most of these are going to be just responses from TMP. Would you rather do it that all at the end or one by one?
Well, I mean, whatever Colin wants, I mean, he.
Yeah,
run
I'd like
through.
all at the end. I just kind of wanted to give high level.
Great.
And I'm trying to think of what my West Ave one was.
Maybe do Tracy
Yeah.
School and come back to it?
Yeah, there was something specific that I had in my mind. Tracy School. I think I'd sent some diagrams, Greg, back in when the Tracy School traffic was talking with you guys. In particular, just recently, I've been there with my kids, and the sidewalk on Adams here is just, this has been beat to heck. So getting something going on here that addresses the deficiencies in the curbing and, kind of restores the sidewalk. This is a very busy area during school times in terms of on-street parking. So people queue up, they on-street park, they're there for 15 minutes, they drive away. They've been beating the curb into the ground, and there's pits. Becomes a very unsafe situation where people are pulling over the curb onto the sidewalk, and it really narrows up the sidewalk and makes it hard to pass when you're walking small kids. There are a lot of walkers in the neighborhood. The vegetation is also pretty heavy at times, and definitely increases the shy distance. So you're kind of constrained by large SUVs and shrubbery, which really sucks, and it doesn't help feel safe. Also, I think it would be in a lot of the walkers' interest to daylight these intersections a little bit more with at least a delineator or something that's going to prohibit people from parking so close to the crosswalks, and also aid the vehicle turning motions around the corners, and also do something in this area to prohibit parking, maybe even from this driveway to that driveway, so that the buses can make an effective turning motion, and not just some paint, but putting up some delineators, I think would help, so that, it's much more difficult to park there. I'd just like to see that furthered, and potentially, since one of the budget items in TMP's goals was the circulation loop there, I think that would just go a long way into kind of finishing the picture and relieving a lot of the stresses that are on that neighborhood, and make it safer for everybody that arrives on foot, and those that arrive by car and do park and then walk the rest of the way. So those were those items, and I'm still kind of at a loss for West Avenue, other than, maybe the furthering any discussions of what on-street bike facilities might be on West Avenue with newer development coming there. I think that was it. I'll
Thanks,
try and look
Colin.
back at my notes, but those
I'll-
two items were
Yeah,
what I wanted to present to the commission and to TMP, and look for some advancement on in the future.
well, I'll turn it over to Greg, but before I do want to avoid having the same conversation that I remember us having last time about Tracy School. I do remember that that TMP, I think it was Greg, pointed out that for particularly that problem with the sidewalk and the curb getting
Yep.
pounded into the ground, that's the purview of DPW. And I
Okay.
think he advised us to report it through, initially at least, report it through customer service. Obviously, it may need to be escalated, but it will
Well,
be escalated with DPW.
Yeah, it's a little bit more than just the side. I understand that we can submit just the sidewalk, but it's kind of, they've looked at that area holistically. They've determined that some mitigation is necessary, TMP that is, and this is not associated with that project that they submitted a budget request for. So I see that there are a few other items in there, at least in my opinion, that can be done to help mitigate the situation further with a little bit of money spent off-site. And if we need to lobby DPW to handle the sidewalk, and TMP needs to look at the the no park zones and what they can do in there to help the buses circulate more safely, and help on-street parking be
So
facilitated.
you're talking about like some new striping and some changes to the parking configuration, which both would fall under TMP.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, Greg, I'll turn it to you.
Okay. So obviously, like you guys said, for the Camp Street area and for Adams, for Tracy School, we put in the budget request, for the back loop. Like Tanner said, the sidewalks that is under DPW, and, if they were to go in there, obviously we would, we've been coordinating with them a lot on their paving and sidewalk projects a lot. So we've been kind of helping them with their design and kind of incorporating a lot of the complete street practices into those. So when they do that sidewalk, that's when we would go in and we would, coordinate and partner with them to come up with the design that fits that specific area right now. But I don't know when Adams is planned to be repaved anytime soon, especially sidewalks in that area. So, and Colin, we kind of talked about this before, right now we're very thin at staff right now with Mike retiring. We have dozens of projects going on right now that we are just very inundated with. We got the Wall Street, Seaview Avenue, our Complete Streets Guidebook, site plan review for private developments. We're coordinating with DPW right now for their upcoming paving and infrastructure work that's going to be done starting in the springtime. So that's just to name a few right now. So, we're not really taking on anything new as far as new projects are concerned. We understand that is, an area that needs to be upgraded and it needs to get done. But right now we just don't have the funding to do that. And we've talked about this. We're not, the department doesn't see it as in our purview to do something temporary like delineators or anything like that. Yes, it could be improved by striping, but we don't have the availability right now to take on something else, right now. So we put that budget item in for the loop behind the school. We feel like that's going to alleviate a lot of the vehicle traffic, behind the school, but, that still has to go through common council review and we'll see what kind of comes back. And there'll still be a public review process after that, and there'll be public meetings and, the school will be heavily involved. And they were involved with the concept plan as well, before we even put it into plan. So, so we'll see what comes out of that, after this budget cycle is complete.
Okay.
Greg, it sounds like that, if nothing else, that we can expect this to be addressed once Adams comes up for repaving.
Yeah, unless we're able to get funding, elsewhere to fund, sidewalks and improve the infrastructure, around that area where we could put bump outs and reduce the crossings there. But we'd have to run through, we'd have to do a traffic study on it. We have to look at the turning templates to make sure that the buses obviously are coming on that street. So we need to make sure they can clear the bump outs if we were to do that. And then we have to look at on-street parking as well. So our plan is to alleviate that on-street parking issue by putting that, those vehicles on the loop around the school, because obviously it's no longer a neighborhood school anymore. So people are traveling, from all over the city to go there. So that's how that's how we're looking at it right now. So, we recognize like that sidewalk and the vegetation there, that's an issue. But it's just not, we have a lot going on right now that we can't take on. So we'll have to see when DPW is planning on paving that neighborhood.
Thanks, Greg. Do you have anything to mention about, or sorry, Colin, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about Washington Street.
Yeah, anything about Washington Street? Either relevant context that would be good for us to understand, or anything that's in the pipeline, even if it's far off?
Well, again, with short staff, to get into another project and, when to put in, obviously that radius is the way it is because of the trucks turning. It has to be there. Tanner, when we went to the step, to that session, we looked at that intersection with them.
That's right. Yeah, like
And we went out
literally
there
went out
and-
in person.
Yeah, we went out there in person. We looked at it with the folks from FHWA and they echoed the same thing. They said, this is a challenge because of the bridge. For a complete street, we can't restrict a large vehicle who needs to be able to get to those businesses on North Main and restrict them and not have them as a route to get out on Washington Street. So it's a challenge, to change that. So we would have to take look at the traffic numbers and look at the radiuses to see what the radius would be in order for a truck to make that turn. So we'd have to look at the turning templates, but right
Gotcha.
now.
So you can't say off the top of your head whether or not the radii right now
No,
are,
I can't. No,
what
I
are
don't.
required.
Yeah, I've never taken a look at it. Like I usually for TMP, I run all the turning templates to make sure that the radiuses can accommodate the largest scale vehicle. But that's also once we've done, especially at intersections such as that, we'd have to take turning movement counts and look at what percentage of large vehicles and what type of large vehicles are making that turn. There's more than one large vehicle. Like how long is the largest truck that goes through that intersection? We have to make sure that truck's able to make that turn, because if not, the only way for them to go is backwards, which could be a major issue if that happened. And we've seen it. I mean, I'm sure you all have seen it, but I know we've seen it when we're out there that trucks get stuck all the time and they have to go, either they hit the bridge or they have to go backwards, which completely ties everything up, which causes a major issue. So right now we're, like I said, we're short on staff and we're involved in other various projects. So it's just not something that we can take on at this moment right now. For another project. And especially when we're already in deep with other projects that we're advancing. But we understand what you're bringing up, Colin. We appreciate it, but it's just, there's a lot going on right now.
Colin, did you remember what you have for West Ave, or do you want to bring it up next month?
No, I'll try and remember what it was.
Well, I can, so
Greg?
real quick, I could bring something up on West Avenue, and I don't know
great.
if Carly's still on. But real quick, so last year, we actually sent in an application. We worked alongside and coordinated with the redevelopment agency. We applied for a new FHWA grant, which was the Reconnecting Communities grant. So the limits of the grant that we proposed was in between MLK was on, from South Newark train station on MLK into West Avenue and all the way up to Wall Street. So we would pretty much combine, the two projects once, if it was obviously approved. The grant was, the overall theme of the grant was separated communities, which was, kind of bringing them together through a major revitalization project and, kind of bringing together the two kind of downtown areas of Norwalk between Wall Street and the Sono area. And the grant submittal included multimodal options, traffic calming measures, complete street practices, green infrastructure, lighting, wayfinding, and implementing feasibility for potential trolley as well that would connect Wall Street and South Norwalk as well. So we submitted that grant late in 2022. So we're hoping to get something, hear back from them pretty soon, especially as Colin, you mentioned, a lot of the newer development sets up in that area. And, what we're hoping is the revitalization of Wall Street area. And that will kind of connect the two, the two neighboring, kind of urban, densely populated areas and kind of revitalize, and promote economic growth, especially between the two areas.
Yeah, Greg, I appreciate you reminding us of that. I had forgotten about that, but I do now remember writing a letter of
Yes.
support.
You guys wrote a letter of support, correct?
So I hope that goes through.
Cool.
I hope so too.
I think one of the things, just kind of as you were talking about that clicked back into my head is I had recently seen more people than I had expected crossing the street at the Sono Collection intersection at Reed Street across West Avenue. That's a very broad crosswalk too, and the median island was actually removed when not you, but when that intersection was improved.
Gotcha.
So that
You're talking
you
about like this
yeah,
one,
I'm talking
what
about
would have
that
been
one.
here.
Yeah, so there was a hard island there that, did offer some buffering potentially and some, I mean, it wasn't in advance of the crosswalk, unfortunately, so it didn't really offer a protected you know, front edge, but it was at least something that as a pedestrian, you know, there was something cars were going to try to avoid besides you, and it helped to break up the walk. I did witness a larger group of young people try to cross the street there, and then I've seen a few middle-aged and older people trying to make that crossing, and it's a very long cross. And then surprisingly, I saw a guy on a relatively nice bicycle trying to make his way down West Avenue towards Sono early one morning on the weekend, and on midday on the weekend, and I was impressed that he was choosing that route. So that made me wonder what we could do to better accommodate people. Both of
Well,
those items, but
We're
Yeah,
hoping
my,
with,
my guess is that, go ahead, Greg.
I would say, well, we're hoping with this grant that we would address a lot of those. My only guess that they took that island out there, just looking at where the crosswalk is, only because the left turning vehicles, if it was on the other side of the crosswalk, they may hit it potentially. So that's why they potentially might have removed it. I don't know. I'm just guessing. So that could have been why they removed it. But yeah, so
Well,
we're hoping
let's
with,
look forward. Go ahead.
no, I say we're hoping with this grant that if we do get it, we're going to address a lot of those items, because this is a major, a major route, and it would definitely, open up the accessibility between Wall Street and Sono.
Yeah, I look forward to hopefully seeing that grant awarded. But let's
Yeah,
move
thank
on
you.
though. It's 7:27. Colin, thanks for bringing those up. Those are good concerns, and I share them. And I look forward to the time when TMP has the resources to address them. Moving on with the agenda. That's not the agenda. This is the agenda. We have two things left that we budgeted 15 minutes or 25 minutes for, and we have 3 minutes. So I'm going to burn through them as quick as I can. Ben, I'm sorry. Just text me whatever you have. But we got to keep going. So some announcements. This should be pretty quick. This Thursday, there's a press conference for the new bike racks in the garage at the Sono train station. James Emery, who's the director of parking for the city, has invited me to speak. It would be awesome to have other people there if you are free and you can pop in. I think it's at 2 p.m. At the Sono train station garage. That would be awesome, and I look forward to spreading the word about that to the public. Next one is on March 11th. The Norwalk Tree Alliance reached out to me about doing a joint event, and we're going to do a bike ride. It's going to start and end at Fodor Farm, which is their headquarters. It's basically their event, and they just are asking us to show up and also to cross promote it, which I am excited to do. So I invite you all. The theme is that they're going to pick a tree, one of the oldest trees in Norwalk. They have a directory of all the old trees in Norwalk, and they're going to pick one of the oldest ones, and we're going to go right out there and then learn about this massive old tree, and then come back and they'll throw a little party at their headquarters there at Fodor Farm. So invite you all to turn out to that. And Emily, please don't forget to put that on our social media rotation. Phil already announced the bike co-op pop-up, the first one of the season, on March 18th. Location TBD, but that's a Saturday, as is March 11th. Those are both Saturdays. The NRVT ribbon cutting, that's still TBD. Like Greg mentioned, there's still it's still up in the air as to when exactly that last bit is going to be finished, but there is going to be ribbon cutting. That'll be more of a press conference than a big public event, but it should be on your radar. And then the grand opening I already talked about. So those are all the announcements. I guess there's one more announcement, but I put it under this discussion, so I'll just roll right into that. And that is the screening of the Street Project documentary. We mentioned this at our last meeting, and it was just kind of a vague concept. It's now a very concrete proposal. Sam, one of our commissioners, who I mentioned at the beginning, who works for Cannondale, reached out to the HR department at Cannondale, and we have a soft commitment for Cannondale to sponsor this event and to pay for a venue. And in particular, Emily, thanks to Emily, we found a great solution for a venue in South Norwalk. It's actually the same room where that STEP workshop was held, in the basement of Sono 50, so right on Washington Street. The movie is just under an hour, so we would have a little bit of buffer time on each end. We'd have the space for 2 hours, and then we'd have an after party in a very similar format to the Sustainable Streets Happy Hour down the street at Eco Evolution, where we held the last happy hour, which is just a block away. Idea being that people show up and they walk from the one venue to the other, because that's one of the most walkable places in the city, despite the intersection that Colin mentioned. So Cannondale has offered to cover the room rental. I contacted Greg because the venue wants some event insurance, some liability insurance, and Greg mentioned that that's something the city can provide, which is great news because that stuff's expensive. And then the last thing, the thing that we would ask the commission to cover is the cost of licensing the film itself. The license is $250, and Bike Walk Connecticut has offered to cover, to basically allow groups, community groups, to pay what they can. So if we can't afford $250, we could pay less. I think it goes down to $25, but it's a sliding scale. It's a pay what you can kind of thing. And then any sort of food or drink that we would want to provide either at the screening or at the after party, I think that would be on us as well. So now that we have 4 people here, I would entertain a motion to allocate $250 from our budget to pay for the license for the film. Or if people feel like we can't afford that, I think we can. We actually have lots of budget still, and it's kind of a priority that we figure out how to spend it. And it goes toward a great cause. So I think I don't think it's out of the question to pay the full $250. So any questions or any motions?
Well,
Tanner-
so, all right,
Go ahead,
Colin, go ahead.
Christine.
No,
you-
just-
Go ahead, Christine.
What, a couple things. One is, what is the date? Is there a date?
Oh, yes. We need to double check with the venue. I just heard back yesterday from Cannondale about their willingness to sponsor. So we haven't double checked yet with
Okay.
the venue, but we're targeting either a week from Friday or 2 weeks from Friday. So that's
Okay.
the 17th or the
second thing-
24th.
So the second thing was, I'm just wondering, so like the Norwalk Library, like there's an event there next week, a bike kind of an event, another speaker, I sent that out. Was there a reason like we couldn't?
Oh, yes.
It just sounded complicated, right? The venue, like was it because of the timing you couldn't get a library or something that's free?
The thinking was in part that we wanted to do it in South Norwalk because it's a little bit more centrally located especially for like people to get there on a bike or on foot, but also because we've had lots of support from Eco Evolution, the shop on Washington Street. They've hosted our events before, and we wanted to support them and find a venue that was walking distance from Eco Evolution so that people could walk down. I did actually look into the Sono Branch Library because that fulfills those criteria. The problem with that one was that they are only open in the evenings on Monday and Tuesday. And we felt that we would get a much better turnout if we did it on a
Okay.
Friday. And because we've got Cannondale willing to sponsor the venue, we can afford to do a nicer venue.
Okay.
And Christine, the allocated budget that we're spending is not on venue, it's on the film itself. So it's just to
No,
rent.
I understand, but it just seemed very complicated getting the venue, do all that back and forth, but I'm ready for the vote. I vote yes, fine, budget, yep.
Okay,
did
so
reach out-
I've got a motion to approve the 250. Do I have a second?
Tanner?
Or Colin, you had a
Yes.
question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I did have one question. Would we be including funds in this motion to provide food and beverage? Or,
Oh, good question. That I haven't nailed down. I
do we want to cover that? I mean, will there be enough time before our
no,
next meeting?
I'm hoping to have this event before our next meeting.
Okay,
It's a good point. Frankly, I just hadn't thought through that part. So, do you feel like it's appropriate for us to allocate some money for food and beverage for the event?
yeah, I mean, if we're going to provide it, we should allocate money for it.
Well, the alternative is that we ask somebody to donate it, right?
That's true.
But we have money, right? I mean,
We do have money, yeah.
so we should use the money. It's, what, is there a reason like I know you don't want to postpone it, but it'd be great to have it during bike month too, but you want to have this soon, right? It was
Yeah,
great.
the reason for doing it soon
Okay.
is that there's a current initiative by Bike Walk Connecticut to get lots of towns and cities in Connecticut to have screenings. Emily and Ben and I
Oh.
actually attended a screening in Fairfield just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
How many people were at the screening? Tanner?
Oh, and Ben and Brian. Yes, Fairfield, they got almost 40 people.
Almost 40. Okay, so why don't we say we could expect 30 to 40 people. What do we think? 30 to
We're aiming for
Mm,
54 people, exactly.
aiming
My,
for
my
54
goal is,
people,
is
exactly.
54, because that's
Okay.
the number of people that fit in the venue at Sono 50. I
Okay.
think that building on the momentum that we've had of getting people to show up to the Sustainable Streets Happy Hours, I think that between that momentum and the expertise that Emily has in digital media, like we've been doing a good job promoting stuff. If we promote this a lot, I don't think that it's unrealistic at all to get 50 people there.
I think we could fill the room.
Okay, so I just did a quick number. I had $500 in my head for food and beverage. If you do 54 people, that's about just under $10. If you cut that by a little bit, it's like $5 a person or so for 54 people. I would say that puts it at about 300, I think. 54 times 300. Oops.
Yeah,
300 divided by
that certainly buys
54
enough food that it won't look
gets
paltry.
gets you $550 a person for about $300. So if we budgeted, I would say $300 for food and beverage, and the film is what, 250?
250. For the license.
So 550 food and beverage and film.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, so I'll go ahead and I'll make a motion that we spend $250 of our budget to purchase the rights to screen the film, and an additional $300 in food and beverage for the event.
So is it allowed there? Like that's all been cleared? Like people can have a catering there? Someone's gonna be doing the work of providing that?
I don't have a caterer lined up. At the very least, we do have permission for food and beverage at Ecoevolution for the after party.
Okay,
So
All right.
if nothing
I
else, we'll do it there.
I second.
Cool. I'm in favor as well. Excellent. We got 4 out of 4 votes. Thanks everybody for that. We have another update on swag order. Emily, do you want to give that?
Yeah, I spoke with Judd. He put in the order for the books, so we should have those by next week. And then he did text me and say the remaining swag we have is going to be shipped to us Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, and will arrive by Friday. So he'll let us know. So we should get the remaining swag by our next meeting. We should have that.
Awesome.
And the
To be clear, that's the swag we ordered a year ago, right?
Yes, this is the swag from our past, not for this year's budget, I guess.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that it's coming in. And I look forward to giving it out at our next events. Christine?
Yeah, this ties in with, and I should have had this on the calendar and the agenda, but it's about the bike League of American Bicyclists. The National Summit is coming up. It's in March. It's March 26th to the 29th. It's
Oh yeah,
virtual.
we've talked about sending people before.
Yeah, we have money, but it's virtual or hybrid. But March 26th to 29th, it's $100 for the virtual. Anybody under 21 can go for free. So I'll put it out in an email, if people want it. I think there's money in the budget for that.
We have allocated it in the past, yes.
Yeah.
I don't think we voted on it for this fiscal year. So I think strictly speaking, we have to vote on it, but that's not until the end of March. So we could vote on it next time. I think the limiting factor with people attending the conference, or at least personally, the limiting factor for me is just the time,
Right,
allocating
It's
the
in
time
middle
to
of the
attend
day.
it, right?
Exactly. And then
I would love
lastly,
to go.
Tanner- Okay, well, I'll send it out. Lastly, is that somehow we were not included, and I'm a little bit miffed about the event at the library next week that I sent out about that national speaker, Ben Granis, who is speaking in
Oh,
the
yeah.
area.
I did mean to include that in the announcements. Go ahead.
I'm curious, like that would have been something like somebody reached out to the Norwalk Bike Walk Commission, said, hey, do you want to co-sponsor this, or do you want to have a table there? I mean, something. But it's like right up our alley. This guy, he's a national speaker, and he talks about he was on a 7,000-mile bike ride around the United States and raised $40,000 to end distracted driving. Anyway, he's speaking at the library next Sunday, 2 to 3:30.
Thanks, Christine. Yeah, I agree. I wish we'd had a little more lead time. But now that we know about it, I think that we should, Emily, I'm sure that we'll be putting it out on our social media. And I invite you all to come as well. I will try and be there. I think I will be able to make it, but you said 2 to 3:30.
Oh, sorry, he's local.
Yeah, you just muted
He's from
yourself.
Ridgefield.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think we should, and the email that you sent implied something about the mayor. Is the mayor going to be there?
I don't recall sending something about the mayor. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe it just
I
said that the mayor
apologize.
supports the cause.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
But in any event, it's a great event, and I think that we should channel any momentum that it generates. And best way to do that is to show up. So thanks for including that, Christine. For more information, look on the city's website or look on our social media pages because it will be there soon. Right, Emily?
Yes.
Great.
Oh, sorry, Tanner, one more thing. He's actually a Norwalker, so we should try to get him at one of these meetings. I'm gonna reach out to him.
So we,
Great. Please
Phil
do.
and I went Sunday. We thought it was this past Sunday, and we attended the American League of Women Voters meeting, thinking it was the Eyes Up campaign, but we'll be there on Sunday. And I did reach out to hit the coordinator at the library, so we'll be there.
Yep, I'll be there. It was the Norwalk League of Women Voters, and I'm glad you were there, Emily.
Woo! It was, yeah, a pleasant surprise.
And it was a pleasant surprise for me too, because I wasn't going to be able to make it. But I think I will make it now that we have a new date. Great. The last thing, the most important thing I think about the budget expenditures discussion is a point that Greg has reminded us multiple times of, and that is that the later that we spend any of our budget in the fiscal year, and remember the fiscal year ends at the end of June, the more likely we are to run into issues. For example, this swag order was an issue because we weren't able to provide. We had to spend the money up front in order to get it out of our budget. And thus we couldn't do payment on delivery, which probably would have made the delivery happen much faster. Emily and Judd, I think at the last meeting, I asked you guys to put together another swag order so that we were ready for all the events that we have coming up. Is that something that you can do by before next meeting?
Yes.
I'm inclined even to vote on something kind of abstract right now, just so that you have the flexibility going forward to put in an order. Since I'm the chair, I can't make a motion, but the kind of thing that I'm thinking is to vote on something like that we allocate the same amount of money to buy comparable swag to what we bought last year, or if we want to modify that, that's fine. But I think that voting on that and approving it would help us to avoid the pitfall that we had last year.
Yeah, I was hoping to have something to share today, but Judd and I haven't been able, we've been texting and putting something together. I don't have anything to present today. I will have something by our next meeting, so I'm happy to do that too.
Well,
I
do
don't have
you think that
motion.
it's useful, instead of waiting until next meeting to vote on it, do you think it's useful to vote on something abstract now so that you can just put something together and then pull the trigger?
I would want to confirm with Judd before I put anything out there, I think, but I don't know. You're just looking for like an outline of what we want to spend on, like swag versus the bike league conference, or this.
I'm talking just about the swag order, just to unblock you basically, so that we can get the order rolling as fast as possible. We don't have to wait for the next meeting to get that ball rolling.
Okay.
Colin, what do you think?
Sorry, Tanner. Yeah, that's fine. We could get the ball rolling.
Just like pre-authorize some money, essentially.
Yeah.
Christine, what do you think? Okay, well, again, I need somebody to make a motion.
Is there an amount that we're thinking?
Emily, how much did we spend last year on this? I think it was somewhere around 4,000.
I don't know. I can't tell you.
But like, obviously, whatever we did last year, we could scale up or down. So I think the better question is what's an appropriate amount to allocate towards swag. And last year we did 4,000. And the biggest problem with that was just that we didn't get it very quickly, but that's what I'm trying to avoid now. I don't think that 4,000 is unreasonable to do again, especially because we are focusing on events.
Yeah, no, that's pretty decent. And we got helmets, bags, and what
bottles,
else?
I think.
Bottles, yeah. That's
Yeah, and every
reasonable.
time
We
we've
may-
distributed swag, it's gone like hotcakes.
Maybe we want stickers, maybe for the kids or something, or for
Definitely
the adults that like to sticker.
Stickers or those window things that we can
Oh,
put in shops or on.
Window decals, yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, decals, that's what they're called. Thank you. Yeah.
You should,
Also reflective gear we talked about, but I don't
Yep.
know. You're looking for a number though, Tanner, not.
No, I think so yeah, so anyway, I'm good with 4,000 if if we have that budget available. And matching
Yes,
that,
we've spent very little of our budget.
and
So
then we'll
fourth,
figure out.
we
we'll
have way
figure
more
out
than
what
four
goes
thousand
into it.
available. But the swag is the ball, the long pole in the tent, as it were, the ball that we need to get rolling first because it's an
So-
order we have to place, and then we would like to
Yep.
pay for it on arrival.
So I'll say that I'll make a motion that we authorize up to $4,000 to acquire swag at a later date, and we will try to have it swag at a later date.
I'll second the swag.
Christine, is that a vote or a question? That's a vote. Okay, all in favor? That's everybody. Excellent. Okay, Emily, so this should allow you and Judd to go ahead and proceed with any order that you make. Remember that we got to get multiple quotes just like in the past. So I know that it's not a straightforward process, but this should at least allow you to go a little faster.
Okay, thank you.
Brian, a question. I hope it's a motion to adjourn, although you can't actually make that.
It's 3 seconds. I just want to remind when
Okay.
talking about swag, Ben had I thought the best suggestion last meeting, blinky lights.
Yes,
Put that out
lights
there.
are a great idea.
Ben had a great suggestion. I just want to remind us that. That's it.
Cool. Colin, actually, forgive me if this is outside my purview, but
Yeah.
could I ask you to join in the working group for swag? Because I think that Judd's been stretched a little thin recently.
Well, I'm stretched thin,
Well, we all are then.
but I can try. Yeah. What do I need to do?
Pick up books.
just-
and read them. No, I'm just kidding.
What's that?
In particular, to find quotes for the kinds of swags. That's not a word.
Flags.
The
Yeah,
kinds of
sure.
swag that we want to order.
Okay. I'll see what I can do. Who else is in it?
Colin,
Emily and
I'll
Judd?
loop you into our group
Yeah,
chat
Emily
here.
and Judd.
Okay.
Sorry.
Is it a chat, Emily, or is it a is it
It's just
email
a
chain?
text. I'm on an iPhone.
It's a loose affiliation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I'll get a group going.
Yeah, chat might actually be better for me.
Tanner, one more thing. Do you have, like the people on this call, like, all their emails? Because I would like to have like Sherry's email, Jeremy's email to kind of include them in some things here.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll ask
absolutely.
you
And in
for
fact,
them. Mhm.
yeah, I
There's
can
no
send you that
chat.
explicitly, but if you look
Okay.
in your email history, now that
Yeah,
Greg's sending
I
the
did,
agendas out, it's
Tanner.
different.
I looked.
Okay.
That's why I'm asking. Thank you.
Okay, I'll send it to you. Great. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, no, we got to vote on the minutes. Now that we have 4 people here. So I will say I did skim the minutes. That we didn't have a large variety of stuff last month, but we did have a robust discussion and lots of good detail about the TMP budget. Notes looked good to me. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes. Okay, we got a second and a third and a fourth. Great. And I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a
Christine,
motion to adjourn.
Emily seconds. Colin makes another motion. That's 4. Great. Thanks for coming, everybody. And we'll see you next month on I think it's the 6th of March.
Thanks,
Have a
everyone.
good night.
Thanks, everybody.